Hey everyone, thank you for coming to my channel today. My name is Kim and I'm an elementary school teacher here in Yokohama, Japan. I've been teaching here in Japan for over 30 plus years, almost 35 years. And before coming to Japan, I was a teacher in Los Angeles. And so obviously, if you do the math, you know that I am not fresh out of university. I could say that I do have a lot of experience, and hopefully I could share with you some advice or tips to help you if you are interested in teaching in Japan, teaching in a foreign country, or what it's like to be, if you are entering this phase of your life a little bit older than someone fresh out of university. A lot of places say that there's no restrictions. However, you have to remember that the mandatory age limit for most of the schools and most schools affiliated with boards of education or private organizations is 65. And this year I am turning 65, so I have to think about what I'm going to do. And I'm kind of in the same boat as many of you. What do we do when we are older and we still feel like we can work? First of all, people may wonder why Japan has these age limits. I wonder too, because in the US, I never had to put things like my birthday, my age. I was never asked at an interview, how old was I? I was never asked anything in regards to age. But in Japan, they do ask, and they do often have that as one of the things to fill out on your form. So I've asked around, why does Japan ask about age? And it makes sense in some ways if you think about it. For one, some companies or some schools consider older teachers or older people as a medical gamble or a medical risk. You could be 100% healthy and very physically fit, but the fact that you are perhaps over 50 or over 60, people are going to have an automatic stereotype that you may not be as physically fit as somebody that is in their 20s. Especially to do a job that may require a lot of physical activity and a lot of energy. Prove them wrong. If you feel like you are, healthy enough and capable enough, don't let that stop you. However, if you are somebody that has medical issues, maybe rethink the position you are applying for, because it may be hard to get time off to go to your doctor appointments. They may not want somebody that's on medication. They may feel that if you have some physical challenges, or if you maybe tire easily or aren't able to have the stamina to keep up with a group of 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds, and believe me, they do require a lot of energy, then maybe it'd be a good idea for you to rethink whether or not that's the particular age level you want to work with. There is definitely something for you. And maybe you're someone that has never taught a certain grade level, or you've never taught at a language school or a private school. So if you kind of do your own research and rethink about whether or not you are physically energetic enough and healthy enough to do the program, then by all means go and apply. But that is something I think that some places take into consideration. So my next point is the energy level. There are times when you really will be required to use your energy full steam and work beyond the call of duty, especially if you're working at an elementary school. Actually, junior high and high school also require the same stamina and energy, because there are things that are not only just related to teaching, but things related to school life, such as sports festivals, cultural festivals, school trips, school trips, overnight school trips, school trips abroad. So many things that could factor into your contract or into things that you may be expected to do. And if you don't have the energy or the willingness to participate in a lot of things, it could be a factor why you may not be looked at as a potential candidate. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting is, and I've been asked this question several times at different interviews, is why are you looking to change jobs now? Why at this stage in your life are you looking to work in a position such as the one we are offering? Why do you want to come to Japan now that you are older? Those are the types of questions that you may be asked. And it is true, sometimes the way I think we see it in a Western country is after we've did several years in our career, maybe we just want a change of environment. Maybe we want a new challenge. For me, it was wanting a new challenge. I loved my position in Los Angeles. I loved my students, my class, my school, my colleagues. I can go into the whole backstory about why I applied to Japan, but that's for another video. But I was really happy in my career. So why did I want to go and work and start teaching in Japan? I knew my answer, but make sure that you know yours, because they will be curious as to why you want to start doing a new job at the age that you're at. Those of you that are thinking of changing careers, like if you've actually been doing another position and now you're applying to teach in Japan, you also need to have a reason why you want to make the change and what it is that you have to offer at your particular age to the school or to the company that you are applying for. One thing I will notice, and I've noticed this a lot in Japan, is there are a lot of Japanese people that make switches in their career. In fact, at my current school, one of the current administrators actually worked at as a fashion consultant before becoming an educator. Another was a recruiter for a big firm. I've worked with teachers that have worked at different companies. Sometimes the transition is not so successful, like the time I worked with a person that was switching from a tomato ketchup factory position to an elementary school teaching job. It was quite challenging. But if you do have the determination and you do have the motivation to apply at a later time in your career, once again, my advice is do it. Now, despite a lot of these stereotypes and a lot of these maybe preconceived notions about older people in the teaching field, there are some good aspects. And I would take these, and when you're interviewing or applying, really, show how that relates to you, or how you can show that you have something valuable to offer them. For one, your experience. Now, maybe you don't have any experience teaching in Japan, but maybe you have teaching experience in your home country. What did it teach you? What skills will that help you when you come and work in Japan? Maybe you weren't a teacher. Maybe you worked for another company. I would perhaps approach this from, how did it teach you to get along with your colleagues? What type of things did you do to help new colleagues? Or how did teamwork work in your previous workplace? Bring any experience and expertise that you have to this interview so that you can show what you have to bring. I think a lot of times, once again, another stereotypical view, and I was gonna try and put this window down, but but I think one of the things that Japanese companies and Japanese school systems do value is your stability, because they assume that because you're older, you have a little bit more stability. You've been in a workplace most likely before. You've worked with other people. Sorry, I'm sweating. It's that glow of sweat. But they do assume that you are a little bit more stable than somebody that is fresh out of university or coming to work at a young age. They may see young people as a risk factor in that perhaps they're going to get married soon, or if they are a newlywed, maybe that they're going to have children soon and have to leave, whereas they see an older person as perhaps being a little bit more settled and maybe not wanting to go off and try different things, or always be partying, or whatever the stereotype is. I think they also assume that older people have a better or more solid set of work ethics. That, of course, as we know, is not always the case. You can have a young person fresh out of university that has excellent work ethics, wants to do their best job, puts in 101%, and you can also have an older person that maybe doesn't put in the same effort that they would have done, or maybe they don't feel like they have to get along because they're older and they don't need to have new friends or go out socializing all the time with their coworkers. So I think it's these perceptions and stereotypes that sometimes do interfere with seeing you as a person rather than just an age. Once again, you have to prove them wrong. You have to show them that your age doesn't matter, that you have all the qualifications and skill set that this particular school, company, whatever is looking for, and show it to them during that interview in your resume. If you have to do a demo lesson, you can do it. Let's turn this all back to English teaching, specifically in Japan. It may be able to be applied to other countries, I'm not sure, but definitely this is kind of focused towards English teaching in Japan. I think a stereotype that a lot of language schools perhaps have, maybe even boards of educations, maybe even different programs, outsourcing programs, is that kids respond better to younger people. I don't know whether I agree with that based on my own experience, but I do think it has a lot to do with personality. And if you are someone that has a lot of energy, I can right off the top of my head think of many people in my generation, or maybe not exactly my decade, but maybe the decade below, that have tons of energy, even more than any of the 20-year-olds I've seen. They bring so much personality into their lessons, their activities, their schools, and so I think, once again, you have to perhaps show that to the people that you are interviewing with or that you are applying with, because it doesn't always translate well on paper. It's really hard for someone to look at a resume and see, oh my gosh, this person is in their 50s or this person is in their 60s. Well, okay, until they meet you. So you just have to get that interview, or you just have to get that Zoom call or something, so that they can see that yes, you do have that energy. Yes, you do have that determination. Another thing is they see a lot of young teachers as fun or trendy and good advertisement, right? It's good for parents to think, oh my gosh, oh, how this person is so great. Oh, we want our child to learn from this person or this teacher. And once again, there are some wonderful teachers that are over the 20-something year mark that I think really nurture students or their students, especially young children. And nowadays, I think young children don't see that age as a factor as much. I know for a fact that I am as old as many of my students' great grandparents. I'm older than their grandparents. I could probably be the mom to their parents. And yet, the students don't really see me like that. They don't see me like that because I'm still singing around the classroom. I'm still telling jokes. I'm still being the person that I am, and not the person that they associate as being a 65-year-old or a 60-something-year-old. That's one thing, I never lie about my age. If the students ask and the students are curious, I tell them. Sometimes I give them a math problem to, you know, make them think. I'll say things like, I'm 30 plus 30 minus 50, or, you know, and I'll just keep going on. And most of them get it. And then they'll be like, oh, you know, and it's flattering. You know, it's very flattering to be seen as younger. But take it into context. When you're seen as being younger from a 6-year-old or 7-year-old or 8-year-old standpoint, you know, they don't really have a lot of context. So anyways, don't let that be a factor, but you will most likely have to prove it and show that you're a different, perhaps, person that you are when they see that number. I know it's hard, like I know it's sort of like, why do they even ask? But like I said, in Japan, a lot of forms do ask for your age, and so yeah, so the best way for me to advise you is you just got to show them that age is just something written down on the paper. Getting back to the question, am I too old to apply to teach in Japan, or I'm a little bit older, can I still, do you think I could still get a job in Japan? Here's my advice for you, and I've written it all down on my notes just so I don't forget, because you know, old people forget. Another myth, but I just wrote it down so that I don't forget. One thing, before you apply and before you decide that yes, you're not going to let that age be a factor in your application, know what you're getting into. Understand the position you're applying for. What I mean by this is, think about your salary. Is it going to be a salary that you can comfortably live on? Because one thing is, with hiring younger people, a lot of times the salary is a lot lower. Some places in Japan, including several of the places I've worked at, calculate your salary based on your working experience. And so naturally, if you're a bit older and you have a lot more years of working experience, and you calculate your salary by that, even though you have zero teaching experience, you could be making more money than someone that has been trained all through university in teaching and has just started teaching at a school and is maybe in their 3rd year of teaching. So yeah, it's a little bit strange, but that's how some places do it. So for example, I talked about one of the teachers I worked with that was changing from a company job, a company factory job, to a teaching position. His starting salary, or his first year in teaching, his entry-level salary was more than someone that had been teaching at that same school for more years than he had. It was all just the way the salary works. And so it's important that you kind of understand and know the salary conditions. Also too, one of the reasons why I switched is because my salary would have changed once I turned a certain age number. I think it was 60. And so that kind of scared me, because I hadn't even thought about a drop in salary once I became a certain age. And so that kind of was the prompter to look for another position, which I was lucky enough to get. And then when I secured a tenured position, that was like the dream come true for me. But I wish I had secured a tenured position earlier in my career, because then I would have probably been a little bit more financially settled, and I wouldn't have had to stress all those years about where my, how my bills are going to get paid, etc., etc. So yeah, if you are someone in your later years, you're going to have to think about Do you have a retirement fund? Do you have some kind of pension fund? How will Japan's pension fund work in your favor or not work in your favor? All those kind of things. I don't have the answers to all of that because I'm still figuring everything out for myself, but it is something that you should probably check into depending on your situation. Another thing you should probably check are the exact work conditions and expectations that you'll be expected to do. Sometimes Japan job ads are very, very clear. Like they say you're going to have to do physical lifting, or that you will have to lift children, or be responsible for this, this, and this. If it's very vague, ask questions because you never know. One of the things at my school that I didn't get asked in the interview, but my school really, really values and likes mountain climbing. And it's an activity that they do every year at the school with different grade levels, getting progressively more difficult as the grade level goes up. And so one of my fellow teachers said yes, she liked mountain climbing, and therefore she usually gets put on every mountain climbing trip. But does she really like mountain climbing that much? No. However, because she said that, it's almost like they assume that she's going to be able to handle the workload. I never said I liked mountain climbing, and if I were asked, I would have been truthful and said no. I like dancing. I could dance all night long. I don't mind walking, but hiking and climbing up a mountain is not my bag or my cup of tea. So you kind of have to know what you're getting into. Also check into whether or not you will be expected to do excursions. If you guys saw my last couple of shorts, excursions are tough. You're working 24/7 and you don't get a whole lot of sleep for yourself. It's not exactly a sightseeing, lay back with the kids, travel and do stuff with the kids kind of trip. No, it's 24 hours of hard work. And if you're expected to do international trips, as exciting and as enticing as that sounds, it's a lot of work. So if you don't feel like you're ready for it or don't feel you can handle it, you may want to rethink whether or not that's the place that you want to go to, even if you have your heart set on trying to get a job in Japan. Another thing to think about is your lifestyle. Okay? You are older. You may have different needs or you may be at a different point in your life, and would you be able to transition and adjust to the lifestyle here? Another tip I would advise is to be 100% honest with your health, both mental and physical, and whether or not you're able to or you're willing to live life in a foreign country. There are differences. We'll talk about all this kind of stuff in another video, or you can go ahead and search, because there are plenty of YouTube videos about people that have had difficulties with medical situations, mental health situations, and it's hard, especially if you don't speak the language, or if you're living in an area where maybe you don't have access to English speaking doctors or counselors. Really be honest with yourself, because if you lie to yourself and you come and you get a position that's really stressful, who's it going to hurt? It's going to hurt yourself. You're going to be miserable. You're going to have a hard time, and people, of course, will be there to help you, but at the same time, you don't know if that's going to trigger something else and make whatever situation you're going through worse. So be honest. My last bit of advice, and I have to give myself this advice all the time, but don't be discouraged. Don't let your age be the reason why you're upset or depressed or feeling inadequate, whatever, okay? It's tough sometimes being the oldest person, the old the old turtle in a pool of, you know, young fish. It's challenging because sometimes invitations don't come your way. She's the old person, you know, we're having this party, we're going here, we're gonna do this. Oh, but she's the old person. Yeah, I don't think she'd be interested. She likes staying at home. If anything, use your age to motivate you. Use your age to prove everybody wrong. Use your age as an advantage. I see my 65 years, actually not 65 yet, 64 years and 6 months. I see that as a huge advantage because I don't stress out about certain things that maybe I would have in my 20s. I don't have to deal with the same issues and drama and competitiveness that I did when I was maybe in my 20s or 30s. I already know, I've already accepted, I can't compete with someone on this particular, in this particular area, or with this or this. I can't look a certain way, like this or like this. I am who I am. And, you know, I think the quicker you accept the age that you are and try and show why that could be an asset to any company, school, or job that you're seeking, I think that's going to be the, I don't know, the spark that gets you going. And you know, if for some reason they say, hey, you know what, you're too old, or we're looking for somebody younger, or we have an age restriction, or, you know, your salary is going to be more than we're able to offer because of the age that you are, okay? You can be inside, oh, devastated, but let it roll off. Say your thank yous and use that to propel you to find something better. And believe me, there is a better out there. If not a better, there's another. Does that make sense? Okay? It might not be something better, but there may be something else there that maybe you didn't think about. That's the story of my life. And we can't really compare ourselves to each other, but I do believe that there is always something else. I have faith in you because I have faith in myself. I'm starting on the same journey looking for a new road. Yeah, I already know I'm old. Yeah, I already know I'm a senior citizen. Yeah, I know I can't work or I can't apply here. I know you're looking for someone younger, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. All right. Good luck in whatever your quest is. Prove everyone that you are way more than just the number that is put on that form. All right. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe and continue with us on our journey. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.